There are two new luxury communities coming online in Zionsville right now that most buyers might not evaluate correctly. Not because they're not beautiful, they are, but because beautiful and worth it are two very different things. And I want you to know the difference. My name's Chris Bashanow. I'm a local realtor in Indianapolis. I'm an advisor on homes. I've worked in real estate sales and spent years in high value residential appraisal, evaluating what properties are actually worth, not just what the builder is asking for those homes. That background changes how I read a new construction community. Today, we're walking through Wild Air and Bradley Ridge, both in Zionsville. And we're going to take a look at what they represent, what the pricing actually means, and the question every serious buyer should be asking before they ever visit a model home. So let's get into it. To understand Wild Air and Bradley Ridge, you have to understand what's happening in Zionsville as a luxury market. So Zionsville has always punched above its size. It's got proximity to Indianapolis, outstanding schools, a physical aesthetic, large trees, lots, architecture with presence that most Indianapolis suburbs simply don't have. But here's the shift that most people aren't tracking. The traditional core of Zionsville is largely built out. And the lots closest to the village, the streets with the most established feel, there is very little raw land that's left there. So at the same time, the demand for luxury, new construction in the $900,000 to $2 million range has not let up. So development pressure is moving outward, and not randomly, but moving towards land that can still support the infrastructure economically. That keeps buyers within Zionsville School District, and it preserves the feel buyers are paying a premium for. So Wild Air and Bradley Ridge are the leading edge of that shift, and where the leading edge goes is where the market is headed. So let's start with Wild Air in Zionsville and what Wild Air is doing and doing well. So it's appealing to a very specific luxury buyer profile, and this is the buyer who doesn't want a neighborhood, they want an estate. Larger lots, more separation, a site plan that doesn't feel like a production community within the same four elevations rotating down the street. And that's genuinely valuable to a segment of the market. Corporate relocators coming to Indianapolis, buyers trading out of Meridian Hills or Washington Township, and buyers who've outgrown Carmel. These are the people who know what they want, and they're definitely willing to build for it. But here's where my appraiser background changes the conversation a little bit. Wild Air's value proposition is heavily tied to its lot product. And lot premiums in communities like this can range from meaningful to significant, without buyers always understanding how that premium will perform over time. So here's what I mean. A lot premium gets you land today, but land appreciation in outlying luxury communities moves differently than land in established corridors. If a buyer overpays for a lot in a premium community, it takes 5 to 8 years to fully absorb. And their early appreciation is slower than someone who bought a finished resale in a market with proven liquidity. So this is not a reason to not build in Wild Air. It's just a reason to go in with your eyes open. Now let's contrast that with Bradley Ridge in Zionsville. Bradley Ridge plays a different role in this market, where Wild Air leans toward maybe an estate buyer with larger lots and custom flexibility. Bradley Ridge tends to operate more on a connected with nature type of experience. So you're going to see defined builder participation, and it's going to be firmly in the luxury category, but it's definitely going to have a different feel. And for certain buyers, this is going to be exactly right. The buyer who wants new construction, but also wants that connectivity with nature and a neighborhood, knowing what it's going to look like when it's fully finished out. Bradley Ridge is worth a serious look. But here's the point I want to make about both of these communities. The same underlying cost pressures apply. Luxury new construction in central Indiana right now is running roughly $275 to $400 per square foot. And that's construction costs only. That's before site work, before lot premium, upgrades, or financing carry during the build. So even if Bradley Ridge feels slightly different than Wild Air, you're still very much operating in a market where the final number is going to surprise you if you anchor too early. So let's slow down here. And this is your differentiating segment. I want to take a minute here to give you what I'd call the appraiser's read on both of these communities, because this is the layer that most real estate conversations skip. When I evaluate luxury new construction communities in Indianapolis, I'm looking at three things that determine whether a purchase here is strategic or just aspirational. So first, it's going to be the absorption rate, and that's how quickly the community is selling and building out. A slow absorbing community creates sustained price uncertainty because your appraised value on completion is still being shaped by builder incentives and some of the unsold lots. Second, comparable sale depth. When you eventually sell, what closed sales will an appraiser use to support your value? In a new community, early buyers can face appraisal gaps simply because the comparable sale record is thin. And third is going to be replacement cost versus market alignment. And this is where my background as a former appraiser working on high value residential properties becomes useful. In a market where construction costs are high and still rising, replacement cost and market value can diverge significantly. And buyers who don't understand that divergence are making $1.5 million decision without the full picture. Both Wild Air and Bradley Ridge are good communities that will likely perform well over time. But the buyers who come out ahead are the ones who evaluate them as assets, not just homes. So let's talk about build versus buy, the real decision. Let me bring this to the question that I think every buyer in Zionsville should actually be asking right now. Is building new the right move, or is there a resale opportunity that gives you more for your money? Because here's what's happening in this market right now in Zionsville. Construction cost inflation has pushed construction pricing to a level where quality resale homes in established Zionsville neighborhoods are, in some cases, a more compelling value. You're getting mature landscaping, established street presence, a comp record that supports appraised value, and in many cases, finishes that a custom builder would charge a significant premium to replace. And that's not true in every scenario. There are buyers for whom new construction is the only answer. If your specifications are unique, if you need a layout, a feature set, or a level of technology integration that the resale market can't deliver, then building is going to be the right call for you. But if you're using new construction as a proxy for quality, assuming that new automatically means better, the Zionsville luxury market right now will test that assumption. The buyers who navigate this correctly are going to be the ones who evaluated both paths with the same rigor. If you're evaluating luxury real estate in Zionsville, whether that's Wild Air, Bradley Ridge, or any other opportunity in this market, I'd encourage you to make that decision the way you'd make any significant financial decision, with the full picture. And that's what I do with every client. We look at the land, we look at the cost structure, and we look at the comparable sales record, and we figure out whether building new or buying resale is the right answer for your specific situation. And if you want to have that conversation, I'd be glad to walk through it with you. My name's Chris Bashanow. I'm a luxury real estate advisor in the greater Indianapolis area, and my contact information is below. I will see you in the next video. If you found this useful, please subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of analysis I share every week. And I will see you in the next one.